Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today I'm talking about how I am doing my family's ancestry work in Obsidian. So out of interest, I just wanted to look at my family's history, see what kind of information we have gathered, look at our lineage, where our family came from, and basically just modernize and consolidate everything, because a lot of my older family members have done their own data collection gathering and they have consolidated a lot of information and knowledge, and I wanted to actually put this into a digital format for posterity, but also so I could take advantage of all of the features in Obsidian with linking, tagging, classifying, organizing all of this information so that I could easily look at my entire family history, all of the networks and connections between our family members, siblings, parents, everything, and take a broad view of this, as well as looking at different pieces of different people's lives, their major events, marriages, births, deaths, places they've lived, people they're related to. And I wanted to actually have all of this located so I can look at an individual 5 generations back even and just say, here's a picture of this person. Here's where they were in the newspaper. These are some of the accomplishments of their lives. Here's some stories that they said that they told that were passed down, and basically just have an accurate picture of my older family members that many I've never even met because they were dead long before I was born. And so that was been like the goal of this project. And I'm going to show you how I'm actually approaching this with Obsidian and some of the things I have currently set up. Now, caveat. Things are always changing with the way I structure and do stuff because I do what works, not what... I'm not going to rigidly stick to something that I said 3 months ago in a video or a year ago. Things are always fluid and changing for what actually works and provides value to me. And I'm going to show you what I currently have, what I'm currently doing, and what I currently have set up. And maybe you might take some inspiration from this. You might want to try this, or maybe you'll just stick with one of the other myriad of sources of ancestry mapping software that are available. There's some really cool stuff. I think a macOS app that's a really popular, cool one. I'm just doing it in plain text because portability and future-proofing. So let's dive right in. The best ways to support the channel are, if you're going to do it on an ongoing basis, GitHub sponsors because they take no fees, followed by Patreon. If you're going to do like a one-time thing, buy me a coffee, PayPal are just fine. And if you just want to support me without any money involved, the best thing you can do is like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and that's it. So like I said, I pretty much had to do this in Obsidian because look what this channel's really just become about is Obsidian and a lot of the things working with it. So I had to do this, and taking advantage of Mermaid.js and the internal linking functionality with Mermaid charts, I've managed to create something really neat for direct lineage in my family. So let's dive right into this Ancestry Vault. So what you can see right here is something I actually posted this like as a teaser on Twitter. And what I have here is basically a list of parents. Now I've removed some names because I'm not sure what you're really supposed to share on the internet. I mean, you can pretty much find out whatever you want about anybody, but in any case, I've listed out pretty much the lineage of parents I have listed up to 5 generations back in some cases. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting to delve into is that I just got from some of my family members who've done a lot of work in here, lots of documents about the family. Some of this stuff goes back to the 1100s. Oh my god. So among the myriad of other things I'm working on, I need to actually digitize, scan, and transcribe a lot of this. I'm probably going to look at OCR solutions so I can just get text from documents. Maybe OneNote can help me with that. But I got pictures, I got stories, I got actual documentation that shows the relations of people back to almost 100 years. It's ridiculous. So that's going to be some of the stuff I'm actually going to be working on. But with this tree, I have links to all the people and their parents. Now this is just direct lineage. I am also mapping out siblings, other children, parts of the family that I'm not directly, in line related to. And I'm going to show you all the different facets of the system as it currently stands. Now, like I said, each of these people is a direct parent, mother or father, of the different generations. So for instance, my great-grandma has also siblings. Now you didn't see this on the chart because this isn't a direct, parent or child relation, but I am also mapping out siblings and other relations. So this is a part of the actual mapping. It's part of the graph. It will show as a connection to this node, but the actual flowchart here is really just for the direct parent-child lineage. Now, what I have on each of these pages is details about that person and their life. So looking at this Gertrude Smith here, well, when they were born, where they were born, and then as I still have a lot of information to gather, when they died, where they died, who they were married to, from when to when, and multiple marriages, who their children are, who their siblings were, and who their parents were, their last names that they've had, and locations they've lived. But this is just like some very bare bones information. I'm also gathering photos, I'm gathering biography information, sources, like they might have been mentioned in like news articles or anything about these people. Now, some tips and advice I've heard and picked up about all of this is actually putting all these details on one line like this. And this is really, like, this entire project of mine really leverages the backlinks section. So in this case, I can see for this individual, Gertrude Smith, the linked mentions say that that John Kittrick Sr. here is actually a child of so-and-so and Gertrude Smith. And then Roger Kittrick married to Gertrude Smith etc. I can also hover over these items and see the highlighted item here and use Obsidian functionality to easily traverse the different linkages between these individuals and the notes as they get cited. Now, I've made links and out of several different other things. I got dates, I have locations, I have last names. And looking at each of these different types of things, if I open up the date, the location, and the last name, I have different pieces of metadata. So what I have here, for last names, I have a particular tag. This actually shows me name files. This way you can easily see all the different names that family members might have. And again, it's just one of those things, kind of like the first character in my literature note input classification system for my normal vault it's just another way of classifying and separating out information depending on what you might want to look at in the future. But the way I do it is I also list out last names in the order of, like, say, maiden name to married names further on. So it's like, this is what they started with, and over time throughout their life, they acquire these different last names through marriages or whatever. So we have names, we have locations, which I give this little map pin because it reminds me of Google Maps. This way I can see different locations such as where the family lived, where they were born, where they died, where major events happened. And so that way at a particular location, we could see anything where somebody lived, born, died, or did something notable. So again, another piece of information to really group together data points. And because backlinks, anytime it's mentioned, it's going to be in line. We're going to see some detail and a tagged note, easily able to see something about it. So actually, if we go back to this one and we look for backlinks, I'm not sure why it's not showing anything here. Oh, there we go. We needed to take it to preview. But we can see here for Longsbar, California, Gertrude Smith, born on here. So that way I can easily see through backlinks any sort of relevant information about that location. And the same thing for the dates. So we can see right here that this is Gertrude's birthday. And what I'm doing with these different tags, notes, locations, names, is that I am keeping a relatively rigid folder hierarchy. And what I'm doing with them is I have a folder for locations, for media. So this is just images, videos, audio, it's pictures, whatever. Names for the actual names of, the last names of people. The actual people themselves, all the notes of the people. Templates, this is what you expect. It's templates for different things, and we'll get into that later. Timeline, this is like any sort of important dates about the family. Now, I just mentioned earlier, I have information and documents going back to the 1100s. So this isn't like doing daily notes where I'm linking, one day to the next day. No. I'm literally just making new notes and then classifying them and filing them under each century because it spans such a large swath of time. So in the 1800s, we can see several different dates here. I can open up a couple of these, and there's no information in here. I'm relying on backlinks to see when certain important information actually took place. So we can see Claude Crow was born on this date in this location. And that is how I'm actually using a lot of these files. So actually, I can look at times and say, let's see what happened in the 1800s for the family. And we can easily look at those things through backlinks. And years are like a specific date where we don't have a specific date, but something happened. And that's what I have in here. So I'm kind of still working on present day things and things that I don't have a particular date for. So let's say we don't know exact when they were born. It might be a particular year. I might just list that there. Now, I also have utility notes, which is really just like the index, or leaderboard is kind of like a game I'm playing with my family. Like after I get all this initial information, I'm making like kind of like a scavenger hunt. Like we need to figure out this family member, these data points about them. Or if they find me a story about them or something, they get like points and levels. It's all arbitrary, but kind of like a way of gamifying the hunt for information about our ancestry. The tree is just, the lineage, the actual mermaid chart for the family. And then the workbench is kind of just like pending items I'm working on to get more information for individual notes. And these are some items I'm currently working on. I need to verify if these locations are actually valid pieces of information where I found them cited. But what happens is that whenever I make a new note, a new person, a new name, date, location, it automatically goes to the root of the vault. This way I can work on items, and then when I'm ready for them to be filed away, I can put them into their respective folders. I know that things here at the top level are things that need to be filed, and I'm not overcomplicating this very much because I need something that just works. So that's basically the system in a nutshell. Locations, I'm not filing them at all. I'm just dropping them in there. Media, this is going to be a catch-all. Names, catch-all. People, catch-all. And timeline, separated out by century. Utility, catch-all. But now, the templates. So what do the templates look like? What am I using and what am I using them for? So I don't have as many, like I'm not using my normal vaults templates. So I have one for today, which is just the date. Names, which really is just the tag. Married, these are some phrases because I added, again, just the normal item itself and the actual entries. But I actually have some entries like this where if I need to actually insert multiple items, such as, they married somebody on such date in what location, and then until when, if they got divorced or died or something, then I can easily insert this because this is like a lot to type out every single time. Now, one thing I'm doing constantly is inserting these different pieces of text, which is and, from, in, on, them, to, until. And so it's really just pieces of formatted text to insert that are formatted in a specific way, including spacing, so I can just continue to type as I'm going. So if I was going to make a new note for somebody, test person, and I can insert an Ancestry template, and now it's a person. So we're going to say born on, so whatever, and then we'll say, okay, they were married to, let's just say, someone on such and such a date. So let's just say today, oops, wrong one, today, and they were married in, let's just say, Sacramento, California, and they were married until until today. Shotgun wedding. Great. So let's just say, okay, that's a marriage record. But now, what if they married somebody else after that? We can insert married. So now we can say married somebody else on, in, until. And in this way, it's easily able to see all the different records for a person. We can see their entire history of marriages, births, deaths, etc. for any record. And this is really useful because when you have these things on one line like this, we're able to easily query different things, such as lines of married to so-and-so, or married in such and such location. So what that might look like is we can actually insert a query block and write something like, let me zoom in here, and write something like, say, line, and insert, say, today's date, and Sacramento. Now we'll just leave it like that. And what we get here is already, okay, interesting. So we have a result for the date and Sacramento, and we can easily see, okay, there's some interesting stuff going on here. Okay, married to, okay. So what this shows us is that inside this document test person, we've gotten a result that shows that on that date, Sacramento, so we can see that these results on a single line actually pop up in a query. Now, I don't really do too many queries like this because honestly, what I really rely on is backlinks. I can see when something and somebody is referenced by something else. If I want to go to Sacramento, California, there's plenty of other references in there. And that's something that's really easy to see with backlinks. So really, I just rely on backlinks. A quick aside, if you're interested in what I'm working on, hearing about updates on my projects like Obsidian for Business and anything I've got going on, do sign up for my newsletter. The link to that is in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. I talk about a lot of different things, articles, notes, new things I've found and discovered, tools, video updates, and just announcements of different things like the new product and product services I'm working on for Obsidian for Business, actually using Obsidian in a business environment for business use cases. Lots of cool things coming out, and I plan to make this a monthly newsletter, so do sign up to that in the pinned comment description below. And let's get back to the content. Now, because all of this is in Obsidian, this means that I can use any sort of plugins and extended functionality to work with all of these documents and items. Specifically, something that might be really useful is the Vantage plugin by Ryan Murphy, where you're able to build complex queries and embed those query searches. And that might be where you might want to actually do some in-depth searching for dates, locations, individuals, whatever. And one thing I also really like is just simple searching. So I can easily just open Gertrude. There we go. There's Gertrude Smith. So I can look for individuals and people. But what's this? So what's going on with this nested tag? So what I'm doing with tags in this case is, again, indicators of status, but also of something interesting. So this single silhouette emoji here is really my generation, my current generation. Now, what happens after this is not what I'm currently tracking at this point. I'm doing this mostly right now for myself, so I don't really have anything set up for younger generations. But what I'm doing here is saying this is my generation, anybody born at, in mine. So my sister, me, etc. Now, these other generations are each generation back. Anybody born in our parents' generation, our grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents' generations. And with that, we're able to easily see through this nested interface of links over here, as we go through, we get sifted results of less and less records. Now, granted, here is a catch-all for any of these other people because the top-level parent tag does group them all together. You can't win everything, which is exactly why sometimes I rely on different other ways of classifying things. But with these nested silhouette tags here, I can easily see at this level all the people at the 5th generation back from my family. And I can easily click that and see a list of all those people. And surprisingly, I've actually known somebody. I actually knew my great-great-grandma. Her sister lived to be 106 and she lived to be 104. So that's exciting. And then I have some other items here. So I have these ring emojis here. These are part of a nested tag where I can say for a particular generation of individual, this might be somebody who's simply married into the family and not like a blood relation. And I might want to tease those out for if I might want to. They're also captured under these as well. So I'm also gathering other information through emojis about this. Now, this emoji here is for people who are not direct relations, i.e. parent-child relationships. I would do this for just saying, hey, this is such and such is sibling. So like if my great-grandma had a sibling, this is where they would be captured. They're not a direct parent-child relationship, which is what these are for, but they are, basically like an auxiliary family member. They are somebody who is related, but not part of the direct lineage. And I might actually need to revise some of these because it doesn't look like I've been keeping to that very well. But these are the tags for the names, for the locations, and then the check marks are really just pieces of information that I need to hunt down about the family members or information or tasks to do in relation to Ancestry work. I have the stack of documents to go through, so obviously I am just going to try and get through that first before really starting to add a bunch of tasks to these different records because I have a wealth of information here. I just need to digitize and get into the system just to get started. And so again, taking advantage of Obsidian functionality is I can take these individual records for the people and I could say, let's open up a local graph view. We can easily see who they're related to, what locations, what dates were significant. And as we get more data for the people, this is going to be really interesting to see how they're connected to different things, especially when we start actually expanding out different levels of depth. So we can easily just see, whoa, more stuff. And one thing that's really useful with that is if I actually have group color settings that display, we can easily see a list of colored locations, dates, or specific tags such as different generations of the family. So this is really useful. And then one thing that's probably going to be really interesting to see is just the global graph of the Ancestry work as it currently stands. And what I have so far for displaying is locations are blue. The names of family is orange, so these might be different names. Any sort of date or time is a bright red. Any dark red is a record that needs to be made, because it's not like I'm tagging things in here with my normal system. If it's a dark red node, I need to make that node exist. So those are items to follow up on and to make. So that's an easy way for me to see the global graph, different things that have to get done. And then green is just any person, because I'm tagging the highest parent tag. It's basically any person is a green node. And you can see there's already a lot of connections going on here, and I've barely just begun with this. So I'm really excited to see where this project goes. And if anyone else is doing anything with Ancestry and Obsidian, do let me know. I would love to see and hear about what you're working on. Send me an email, drop a comment, send me a discussion on GitHub. If you have questions for me about anything that I do, I prefer questions on my FAQ repo. A link to that is in the description below. And feel free to ask me any questions about anything, and I would love to hear about what you're doing with anything that might relate to Ancestry in Obsidian. So hopefully you found this video interesting. I think I'm really interested in a lot of these projects that I've started taking on and seeing what I can really get Obsidian to do for me, bending plain text to my will, and making a lot of this stuff work for me. Being able to map all this stuff out visually with Mermaid charts, but having the backlinks to see easy line references to different pertinent information about people, information about the family from locations or times and dates is just really, really cool. This backlink bidirectional link feature really just energizes the entire process of seeing what your family has done, where they've been, where they lived, and the stories of their lives. And as I continue to work through all this material, I hope to have all these documents, digitized, scanned, pull out the text, and have stories and pictures and connections between my family and family that I've never even known or could know. So let me know what you think about all this, and if you have any advice, any tips, if you're doing anything with Ancestry and Obsidian, let me know. I would love to hear about it. And before we go, a very big shout out and thank you to the sponsors and patrons who support this channel. It's not required by any means, and I appreciate absolutely every single person who does support this channel. It's really nice and motivating to see that people enjoy the work that I produce, and just a very big heartfelt thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel. Supporting gets you special roles and chat rooms in my Discord server. You'll also be getting special early releases and beta testing of different things like my Obsidian for Business package that I'm setting up. Patrons and sponsors are going to get first dibs on beta testing that, as well as they're not going to have to pay for it. And it's going to be a product/service that I offer where you actually have tools to facilitate the plain text life with a Microsoft Office 0365 business environment. So if you're on a lockdown firewalled Windows machine and you use Office 365, there are going to be tools and tips, scripts, and programs to help you facilitate an easy plain text vault system on that machine. No more, trying to copy, paste, dealing with rich text format. No, I'm talking click a button, your emails, your meeting lists and invites and notes and attendees, everything is immediately extracted, formatted, linked to plain text, Obsidian-friendly documents directly to your vault with a single button click or a hotkey. Lots of great work happening, and patrons and sponsors are going to get first dibs on it. And if you want to know more about what I'm releasing as well, you can join my newsletter. Link to that is in the description and the pinned comment below. And with that said, I will catch you all in the next one.